Well, my drama continues. Here's the rear grab rail. It looks like somebody painted it with clear. They didn't bother cleaning or anything, they just painted it. And they drilled 2 holes here, or drilled 1 hole. You can see on this one here, it's dirt in that hole, and it's got some rusty bolts in it. I don't know what the deal is. I think that this looks like it probably was the rear rail off of a different motorcycle. Might have been a VMAX, and they ground it up and put it in. And it's a pretty bad job any way you want to look at it. So I'll have to do a little digging on the internet to see what I'm going to do with this. Don't know what I'm going to do, but for sure I got to take this all apart, and so I can clean it and paint it. Well, after examining this a little more, it's obvious somebody got in here with looks like just a grinder. Tried to grind this thing to fit, and tried to drill some holes in it. Some of it's cracked. Apparently there are 2 versions of this, one with a sissy bar on it and another with a grab rail. I don't know what was happening here, but at any rate, the stuff that I found on eBay is really pricey. So I'm going to try to invent something to fix this. You know, we're looking at a $100, $150 at least for something that I don't even know if it'll work. So I'm gonna try to see if I can figure out how to maybe remachine this to where it will fit right. This is obviously a 3-piece thing here. Maybe I'll just put it all together and bolt it somehow and make it 1 piece. Gonna take a little thinking about this. Well, examining this a little closer, this stuff don't really look like corrosion. It looks like some kind of a foam or something. Was sprayed on here accidentally, or maybe on purpose. I thought it was just aluminum corrosion, but it looks more like foam glue or something. I'm not sure, but he kind of ground it out there so this piece would fit on. The bolt holes weren't in the right place. There's a problem with this because it's at an angle, and if I machine it to where it'll slide down in here, it'll obviously get smaller. I'm not sure what to do with this. I think I can just put my brackets on it to get it to be at the right place, or bolt it on the bike so I'll know exactly how far it is, and then maybe I can just JB weld this and bolt it together all in one piece and just make this a one-piece deal. I don't know what it'll do with trying to get all these brackets and shit back on here. We'd have to put it together and then glue it all up and then paint it, and it won't ever come apart again. I don't know. More thinking. Well, this is more or less how this all goes. That piece here holds a fender on, bolts into the frame here. From this side, don't look too bad, it looks pretty straight. But when you come back here to the back, you can see that this is, you know, it's obviously not even close to where it's supposed to go. This shouldn't be too much trouble. This is just a little piece of plastic with a bracket there for the thing, the little reflector. But this goes on. Of course, I got nuts on it, but that's in there close enough. I can make that work. But this whole piece has got to be in there really solid. And so it's kind of critical that it's exact dimensions, or you know, within a millimeter or something. But this won't pull out or anything. I don't even have any bolts in it. It's held together with pressure. I think this is probably too wide. Most likely that's what cracked this this thing here. They could have wrecked it, screwed up the sissy bar, found another one off a different year or something, because it's obviously not the same age apart. And you know, considering that he just used a grinder, he didn't do too bad a job. But I can't have this on something that I'm trying to paint, and the only way really to fix this is just grind it down here on the back. This is going to be part of the strength of the thing, so whatever I do, I have to put a bolt in it. Obviously it'd be best from the inside, so this outside part would look alright. I don't know what I'm gonna do here. Obviously it's possible just to clean this all up and paint it. Sounds like somebody's rev limiter works. There's enough room for this to move around. I just have to decide what to do here. We're thinking. Yeah, I kind of decided that really the only way to salvage this and make it look right is to JB weld it all together. And I've got this little problem here. I've got maybe 2 millimeters. See, the frame of course will bend and pull in, but I've got about this outside is holding this apart about 2 millimeters, like I said. The outside edges are pretty close. So basically I need to machine a little off of the inside of this on both of them. So that at least this goes in flush against the frame like that. And I'm not putting any pressure on it. So I'll just put this in the milling machine, and that little line there is on both sides is how much needs to come off of here. This one a lot, almost down to nothing on the outside. Try to chew it up a little, see if I can get it fit a little better, then press on and gluing it together. Well, I think I found out what broke it. If I pull this up to where the bottom bolt is in the top hole here, this is good on this edge here, it's good in the back on both sides. So this is probably where this sissy bar was originally, and I'm looking at the top of this. It looks like somebody has just cut this off with a hacksaw or something. And obviously when they only had one bolt in it, tried to pull it, maybe this thing got broken or wrecked, or don't know. But that's where one hole goes, and I'm pretty sure the sissy bar should be up about another inch. But the problem here now is that when it's up this high, I got a 3/8 of an inch there. So maybe they weren't too stupid, just rough. But if I shove it back down in there, then this will close back up on the frame. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to JB weld this whole thing together. I took a belt sounder to it, cleaned it up here where to fit a little better, and makes it pretty straight. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to JB weld this whole thing together, bolt it down good, let it set, and then once it's all good and hard, then I'll grind it off where I can and try to make the edges look good, and I can finally paint this thing. A lot of work, and It'll be a custom one-of-a-kind thing. No way to have any interchangeable parts, but at least it'll all be one piece and solid and look good. Okay, it's in, JB welded together. Got some big holes here in the bottom. Of course I'll have to repair, but I can do that with Bondo. Basically, this is all in. It's all straight. I bolted it down good. It's solid. JB weld is almost as strong as aluminum, if not stronger. I don't remember. But that should make it one piece, and then I'll put some little chrome screws or something in here just to give it some strength. For right now, I'm just using these old rusty ones to put pressure on it. So tomorrow should be plenty hard. JB weld takes about 24 hours. I mean, it'll be probably good enough to fool with today, but anyway, change this from a 3-piece part to a 1-piece part. I still got enough room to get all of my little brackets and reflectors and all that stuff in here. And anyway, not much more to say about this. It's not what I would consider the best job in the world, but I think when I get done with it, it'll look alright. Next morning, here's my fancy new 1-piece graph bar. I threw a little Bondo that I had left over last night in some of these holes here. I still have to fill that one up, and of course a lot of this stuff here needs to be cleaned up. I did patch this crack right here with JB weld. Of course, that stuff's really hard. You can't even touch it with a fingernail. But basically, it's super strong. I'm gonna kind of try to take a file to it and even out this aluminum a little bit, and fill the rest of this with JB weld. I mean Bondo, so I can have a nice smooth surface here and I can paint it. But I don't think it'll take a whole lot of filing or anything to get that to where it looks pretty good. And then with Bondo I can make it look like it was just one piece. Of course, this is stronger than just being bolted together, obviously. But when I took it off of the bike, the frame spread out maybe 1 millimeter, just, you know, not very much at all. So this is pretty much exactly the same shape and stuff as the frame. Anyway, I'll get the filing on here and see what it looks like. I started working on this area with a file. You can tell it ain't going very fast. So I figured I'd speed it up. These are just some little cheap Harbor Freight angle grinder stuff here. I think the coarsest one I've got is 60 grit. I think it must be this one. And it's got a little thing here. I'm just going to stick that in a drill and should be able to hog this down a little quicker. At least it'll be easier than trying to do it with a drill. Hope that recorded. Anyway, you can see what it does there. This course here is not very bad, but takes it down pretty fast. This back side is obviously much worse, but we'll try it here. Yeah, not staying up very good. We'll see. Alright, see how that's chewing it down pretty good. Got some more there, a little more here. Anyway, it's just busy work. I'll go ahead and grind it down and then we'll see what I got to do after that. Oh, just a couple of minutes, hog that down real nice. You can see the crack there where it was cracked. But that pretty much does this side. I've got this big piece in here where it's not fitting. Kind of ugly. You don't really see it, but it's in the back, so I'm going to go ahead and try to hog this all down. Alright, well, it came down pretty good. This was a little better side, but I got it pretty much all smooth. This one needs a little more on the outside, and of course right in here, but basically it don't look bad. I don't think I'm going to need that bolt in there. It's solid, it's glued in real good, and the bolt was necessary to kind of hold it together while it was glued. But actually, once this is bolted into the bike, this angle here squeezes that together anyway, so it's pretty strong. So I think I'm just gonna fill all of this stuff up here with Bondo and try to make it as smooth as I can, and finish working on trying to get this all the same dimensions and smooth. Now there it is, bondoed up. I tried to get it on as smooth as I could. which was not very smooth, but it looks pretty good. And since I can get to most of this with power tools, it shouldn't be any trouble to sand it down. But that looks pretty good here from the back. And I can tell it's just a little bit crooked, but I don't think anybody else ever noticed that. So I just have to wait till this stuff dries and then sand it. Gonna go for another barbecue down at the shop today, so I'll leave this out here in the sun. It should be hard as a rock by the time I get back in an hour or so. And we'll press on with a little more. Hopefully I get all of this primed today. Here's most of my tin and stuff. It's all been 220 sanded and guide coated. The fender turned out pretty good. I got both scoops finished, both fenders. I cleaned up all this stuff here. And so, nice day today. It'll be a little bit warm this afternoon. I'll shoot this all again with some of that good epoxy primer, and then basically I'll just have to finish sand it and paint it. I just checked the mail before I took off, and here's my lovely water separator. I guess this is probably a gauge. Yep. So I noticed when I was squirting it the other day, I had a little water in the primer, so it's just as well that I put this water separator in it before I even do the primer, and that way I can tell in the primer how the final paint is going to go. Yeah, I probably need to get some kind of adapters, or oh, that's a big one there. Stuff I have might be too small. This is what I've got. This thing was no good. I put a T in it and it just cracked. Yeah. So maybe it's a good thing I looked at this first. I'm gonna have to get some kind of adapters or something. Well, I'll figure that out later. There's my first shot of Bondo, roughly sanded. I just did it with that drill. Kind of hard to do anything good, but looks pretty good. Anyway, not too bad. I'll cover this with another fine coat, and then I can sand the rest of this by hand, so that that drill kind of chews things up, but it should be alright. Now there's another nice thin coat of Bondo. Looks pretty good. It's all straight. That should harden up pretty good, and then I can hand sand this with some 80 grit or something, get it down pretty close, and then fine sand it and clean up all the rest of this bad area here. Paint it. Here's the new piece. The other one had a big hole cracked in it, and this one had a crack. I don't know, I guess that come from no idea really what would cause a hole right there. would assume that it would be something to do with the turn signal. But anyway, I just JB welded it. I'm going to sand it up a little bit here so I can prime it. And before Bondo gets completely dry, you can sand it pretty easily. That's what I did here. This is just rough sanding to get it down pretty close to where it needs to go. I hope I put enough on it. I really don't want to put more. Looks like all the places here will clean up. I don't care about that one. It's in the bottom anyway. But the top all looks good. So I'll just put it out in the sun now and let it get good and hard, and sand the whole thing and put some primer on it, and we'll see what it looks like. Well, here's some of my lovely two-part primer. It's supposed to rain tomorrow. So I thought, well, I'll try to paint it this afternoon, but it's not a good idea. I've still got pieces here like the side covers that I don't have any primer on at all. And this stuff really needs to dry. I could force it today, but I got a lot of time already spent in all of these parts, and I just need to do it right. So if I can't paint the color tomorrow, no big deal. At least I'll get all the primer on out here today, and then I can take my time and find the right connectors for the water and everything, and just set it up right to do the color. A lot of work just to ruin it. So anyway, I'm going to mix me up a batch here and just start painting these things one or two pieces at a time until I get them all finished. Well, here's something I didn't do last time. Two things. One, I didn't stir this stuff very good, and I didn't filter it at all, so it had lumps and everything else in it. But now it's all filtered. I'm just going to mix it right here in the gun. I'll mix the activator in it and stir it up good and start squirting. Moving along, that's a second coat on the scoop. I had a lot of trouble trying to get this primer to spray right. I finally added some more lacquer thinner into it so it wouldn't be so lumpy. And that's coming out pretty good, but this little gun's just had it. Really good thing I didn't try to do the final paint. I'll just buy another brand new gun. They're not that expensive, and just keep this one for doing primer and nasty stuff. I should have thrown it away a long time ago, but it didn't. Well, there's my grab bar, pretty much all sanded up and scuffed up good. That looks alright. I didn't bother taking the corrosion off all the way to the bottom, but that's good enough to paint. And, of course, I got errors in it too, but I'll find that out once I spray a bunch of primer on it. That's the main thing that I want to do here, is put a bunch of primer on it so I can sand it down. Well, this stuff is kind of coming out dusty and lumpy. Part of it's the mix and part of it's the gun. So this last little part here, I mixed quite a bit of a thinner in it and sprayed it on. You notice it kind of glossy, so that'll save me some priming. If I had a good gun, of course, this would have been much better, but it didn't. But anyway, all the parts are primed good. I did both covers real nice. And this piece here, my Yamaha part, did the fender down there. It was good. Here's both scoops up here in the sun, kind of drying. Got the tank over there. And fender and everything, so I'm gonna dig up the parts that I haven't put this wet stuff on and do them real quick. Well, there are all of the parts. Nice epoxy primer. Got some kind of rough places in it, but that was because of the gun and the primer. Basically, it's all looks real good. Take a little sanding and looking at it. There, you got a little bit of a run there on that one, but they're done inside and out, and super good primer. So 2 fenders, 2 side covers, 2 scoops. This tail piece turned out nice. You can see I got a couple little tiny things right here on this side, on the back. Looks like I've got a little bit of Bondo that needs to be taken out. A little area right there, a little lump, another little spot right there. But this is all really nice compared to what it started out as. It's straight and strong, and so this ought to look real nice. Fenders, I got everything off of. If I would have had a good gun and a booth and some more lacquer thinner and stuff, and not use primer that was 3 or 4 years old, I could have done a lot better job, but I didn't. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pieces. I hope that's it. So I got a few hours of sanding this, and then try to sand it as good as I can with like 320 or something like that. Wash it and let it dry and make sure I got everything all perfectly smooth. My old jack that wound up being a help. But anyway, a couple days of work here, and I don't see any real errors in it. The place where I glued this this fender here, you can still see just a little bit of place where I dug out the crack. That's going to be under the seat and stuff, so it don't really make any difference. This side turned out real nice. So, and these glue joints I made here are super strong, so this fender's good. So everything is pretty much done. That'll be kind of an end of a cycle here on getting the parts primered. I might make a little bit of video and sanding, and then I'll go get another gun and set up my stuff. Like I said, it's supposed to rain tomorrow, so I don't think I'll be doing any painting tomorrow, but it'll probably be a good time to just take a whole day and sand this stuff. Take my time. Oh yeah, I got another piece here. I guess some would say that's the main part, but I got just a little bit of bundle marks in there. No dents. I took them out really nice. Got a couple little tiny places. I touched it there with my finger. Yeah, since this is the part that everybody sees, I'll be real careful sanding it, and I'll just use spray can primer to finish up any little stuff here. I'm not going to go to all the trouble of masking this again or mixing up that hard stuff. This is going to be the showpiece, so I'll have to use more care on it than anything. Get in the 2 scoops. So, bunch of VMAX parts getting painted.